Hello, and welcome back to the Everyday English Podcast. I am Sarah, and I am here today with Mark to talk about something that every intermediate learner experiences at some point in their journey. It is that specific, frustrating moment when you realize that you know all the words in a sentence on paper, but when a native speaker says that same sentence, it sounds like one long, confusing noise.
Hi, Sarah. It is so true. I hear this from our listeners every single day. They tell me, Mark, I can read a book in English and I can understand my teacher perfectly, but when I go to a real coffee shop or watch a movie without subtitles, the English sounds like it is being played at double speed. It feels like there is a secret code that native speakers are using, and it can be very discouraging for someone who has worked so hard on their vocabulary and grammar.
It really is a universal feeling. But here is the secret we want to share with you today. Native speakers are not actually talking as fast as you think they are. What is actually happening is a change in the rhythm. In English, we do not pronounce every word with the same level of importance. We link words together, we shrink certain sounds, and we emphasize the most important information. If you do not know these hidden rules of rhythm, your brain will keep looking for separate words that just are not there.
That is exactly what we call the fast English myth. Today, we are going to break that myth apart. We are going to show you the mechanics of how English actually sounds in the real world. By the end of this episode, you will have a much clearer understanding of why you miss things, and more importantly, how to start hearing them. If you want to live your daily life in English with confidence, it is so important to train your ears for this natural flow. And if you find this helpful, make sure to subscribe to the Everyday English Podcast. When you subscribe, you are joining a community of learners who are focused on real-world fluency, and you will never miss our deep dive sessions that make English feel like a natural part of your day, rather than a difficult subject to study.
Let us start with the most important sound in the English language. It's a sound that most textbooks barely mention, but it is responsible for about 50% of the rhythm of spoken English. It is called the schwa. Mark, how would you describe the schwa to someone who has never heard of it?
I like to call it the lazy sound. It's just a very short, relaxed sound that sounds like You do not move your tongue, you do not move your lips, and you do not use much energy at all. It's just The reason it is so important is that in English we have stressed syllables and unstressed syllables. In the unstressed parts of a word or a sentence, almost any vowel can turn into this lazy sound.
Let us look at a simple example that everyone knows. Think of the word banana. If you look at the letters, you might want to say banana, giving every A the same sound. But a native speaker will never say it that way. We say banana. The first and the last A are not really sounds at all. They are schwas. They are very short and very quiet. The only part of the word that is clear and strong is the middle part, nana.
This is where the confusion starts for learners. If your brain is listening for a clear ba and a clear na, and you only hear ba and na, your brain might not recognize the word at all. This happens with thousands of common words. Think about the word computer. We do not say computer. We say computer. The first vowel and the last vowel are both schwas. They are shrunk down so the middle part can stand out.
And it's not just inside single words. The schwa happens in entire sentences with what we call function words. These are small words like to, for, at, and. These words are usually not the most important part of the sentence, so we shrink them using the schwa. This is a huge part of why native speakers sound fast. Mark, let's give them a practical example they can hear.
Okay, let's take the phrase coffee for two. If you say it word by word, it is coffee for two. But in a real conversation, a native speaker will say coffee for two. Did you hear that? The word for did not sound like the number 4. It sounded like fur. It became very short and joined on to the next word. Exactly. Or think about the phrase, I am at work. We don't say at with a clear sound. We say, I'm at work. The word at becomes a tiny, weak sound. If you're waiting to hear a clear word like at, you will miss it because it has already passed by in a fraction of a second. This is the first thing you can try today. Start looking for these weak words. Whenever you see the words to or for or at in a sentence, try to say them as a tiny sound instead of a full vowel. You will immediately sound more natural,
and your brain will start to realize that you don't need to hear those words clearly to understand the sentence. That brings us to our next major concept, which is linking. This is the idea that in English, we do not like to have silence between words. We like the sound to flow like a river. When one word ends with a consonant sound, and the next word begins with a vowel sound, we push them together as if they are one single long word.
This is the magnetic quality of English. Let us use an example that often appears in travel situations. Imagine you are at an airport, and the officer asks you about an apple in your bag. They might say, "Is that an apple?" But they will not say, "an apple." They will say, "an apple." The N at the end of the word "an" moves over and grabs onto the word apple.
This is why it is so hard to find where one word ends and the next one begins. Let us go back to a phrase we heard in the anchor video, the purpose of your visit. If you say it slowly, it is purpose of your. But a native speaker will link the S in purpose to the O in of. It sounds like purpose of. The S and the O melt together. Then the V sound at the end of often links to the next word too.
It is like a chain. If you are listening for purpose and then a pause, and then of and then a pause, you are going to be very confused when you hear purpose of your. Your brain is searching for two words, but your ears are only hearing one continuous sound. This is not because the speaker is being lazy or talking too fast. It is actually a rule of English phonology. It is easier for our mouths to move from a consonant to a vowel without stopping the air.
Let us try another one. Think of the phrase pick it up. If you say it word by word, it sounds very mechanical. Pick it up. But a native speaker will say pick it up. The K in pick moves to the I in it, and the T in it moves to the U in up. Pick it up. It sounds like a 3-syllable word instead of 3 separate words.
This is a great exercise for you to try right now. Take any short phrase that has a consonant at the end of one word and a vowel at the start of the next. Try to say them as if they are one word. Practice saying check-in as check-in. Practice saying come in as come in. When you start doing this yourself, you will suddenly start hearing it when other people do it. It's like you are finally seeing the hidden structure of the language.
And that structure is held together by what we call the heartbeat of English. This is the difference between word stress and sentence stress. English is what we call a stress-timed language. This means that the time between the stressed words in a sentence is usually the same, no matter how many unstressed words are in between them.
That is a bit of a complex idea, so let us use a visual. Imagine a drum. Boom, boom, boom. Those beats are the most important words in your sentence. Usually, these are the nouns, the main verbs, the adjectives, and the adverbs. These are the words that carry the meaning. All the other words, the articles, the prepositions, the pronouns, have to fit in between those drum beats.
Let us use a sentence to demonstrate this. Listen to this. I bought a new car. The important words are bought, new, and car. Those are the beats. I bought a new car. Notice how the words I and are very fast and quiet. They are squeezed in between the big beats. Now listen what happens if I make the sentence longer but keep the same beats. I have bought a really new car. The beats are still the same, but I have to say have, and really even faster to make them fit.
This is why native speakers seem to speed up and slow down. We aren't actually changing our overall speed. We are just squeezing the unimportant words so we can keep the rhythm of the important words. If you try to give every word the same amount of time, you will sound like a robot, and native speakers might actually find it harder to understand you because they are looking for those beats to understand the meaning.
A great way to practice this is to clap your hands. Choose a sentence and identify the 2 or 3 most important words. Clap when you say those words, and try to keep your claps at a steady pace. Then, try to say all the other little words in between the claps without slowing down. It's like a musical exercise. If you can master this rhythm, your listening comprehension will skyrocket because your brain will stop worrying about the small, squeezed sounds and start focusing on the big, stressed sounds that tell you what the person is actually saying.
This leads us perfectly into what we call the mumble challenge. We have talked about the schwa, we have talked about linking, and we have talked about stress. When you put all of these together, you get what many learners call mumbling, but it is not mumbling. It is just highly efficient English. Let us look at some common phrases that usually sound very different in real life than they do in a textbook.
One of the most famous examples is the phrase, "What are you going to do?" In a textbook, it is 6 very clear words, But if you are at a train station and you miss your train, a friend might look at you and say, "What you gonna do?" Let us break that down. What and are and you have all melted together into whatcha. This is a very common form of connected speech where the T and the Y sounds combine to make a ch sound. Then, going and to become donna. If you are waiting to hear 6 words and you hear what you're gonna do, you are going to feel like your English is not good enough. But the problem is not your English, it is your expectation. You are expecting the written form of the language, but you are hearing the spoken form. Another one is, did you eat yet? A native speaker in a hurry might say, jeet yet? The D and did and the Y and U combine to make a just sound, jeet. It sounds incredible when you hear it broken down like that, doesn't it? It sounds like a completely different language, but this is how people actually speak when they are comfortable. Another classic is, I am going to. Almost everyone knows that this becomes gonna, but did you know that in fast speech, it can shrink even more? Sometimes it just sounds like Imma, as in, Imma go to the store. Or how about give me and let me? They almost always become gimme and lemme. If you are watching a movie and someone says, let me see that, they aren't being uneducated. They are just using the natural, rhythmic shortcuts of the English language. This is where your daily listening practice becomes so valuable. You need to hear these variations over and over again until your brain recognizes lemme as let me instantly without having to think about it. So how do we actually bridge the gap between knowing these rules and being able to use them? The best method we recommend here at the Everyday English Podcast is something called shadowing. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a native speaker and you repeat exactly what they say, almost at the same time. You are like a shadow following them. Shadowing is powerful because it forces your mouth to move at the same rhythm as a native speaker. You cannot say every word clearly if you are trying to keep up with a fast recording. You are forced to link. You are forced to use the schwa. You are forced to follow the drum beat of the sentence. It is the best workout for your speaking muscles and your listening ears. We suggest starting with just 1 minute of audio. Take a short segment from one of our podcast episodes. Listen to it once to understand the meaning. Then, listen to it again and pay attention to the links and the stressed words. Finally, play it and try to speak along with us. Don't worry if you miss some words at first. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to match the music of the voice. If you do this for just 5 or 10 minutes a day, you will start to notice a massive difference. You will start to hear the schwas in your favorite songs. You will notice the linking in the movies you watch. And when you speak, you will feel much more fluid and less like you are reading a list of words from a dictionary. It is about building a new habit in your brain. Let us do a quick practice right now. I am going to say a sentence from earlier, and I want you to try to shadow me. I will say it naturally with linking and stress. Here is the sentence. I am going to check in at the hotel. Now listen to the natural version. Imma check in at the hotel. Sarah, let us break that down one more time for them. Sure. I am going to becomes Imma. Check and in link to become check in. At becomes ut, and the becomes the. So it is Imma check in at the hotel. Notice that hotel has the stress on the second syllable, tell. That is the big drum beat at the end. Imma check in at the hotel. Try saying that with us. Imma check in at the hotel. Again, Imma check in at the hotel. It feels different in your mouth, doesn't it? It feels faster, but also more relaxed. You aren't working as hard to say every single letter. You are letting the language flow. This is the journey of an intermediate learner. It is moving from the world of rules and textbooks into the world of sounds and feelings. It takes time and it takes patience, but it is so rewarding when you finally have that first conversation where everything just clicks, when you stop translating in your head and you just start hearing the music of the English language. We have covered a lot today. We talked about the schwa and how to use it for weak words. We talked about linking consonants to vowels to create a continuous flow of sound. We talked about the drum beat of sentence stress and how to prioritize important words. And we looked at the mumble challenge to show you that native speech is just efficient, not necessarily fast. Your challenge for today is very simple. I want you to go back and listen to just 2 minutes of any English conversation. It could be a previous episode of this podcast or even a video online. I want you to find 3 examples where 2 words are linked together. Just 3. When you find them, write them down and try to say them out loud 5 times. This tiny habit will start to retrain your brain to look for connections instead of separations. It really is the small things that add up to big results. If you can master these rhythmic patterns, you are not just learning English, you are learning how to live in English. You are removing the barriers between you and the people you want to connect with. And remember, we are here every day to help you with that. If you haven't already, make sure to click the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. This helps you stay consistent, which is the most important part of language learning. By joining the Everyday English podcast, you are making a commitment to your fluency, and we are honored to be part of your daily routine. We are so proud of the progress you are making. Keep practicing your shadowing, keep listening for the schwa, and most importantly, keep enjoying the process. Language is about connection, not perfection. Every time you hear a link or a stressed word, you are one step closer to that feeling of total fluency. We can't wait to see you in the next episode for more real conversations and practical tips to help you live your daily life in English. That is right. You have the tools, you have the talent, and now you have the secret to the native rhythm. Go out there and try it today. Whether you are at work, at a cafe, or just practicing at home, remember that you are doing great. We believe in you, and we are so excited to hear about your progress. Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep being amazing. Goodbye for now, and happy practicing. You are doing something incredible for your future, and every minute you spend listening is an investment in yourself. Stay positive, stay curious, and we will talk to you again very soon.